You've been told since your first day on the job that honesty is the best policy and that transparency is the hallmark of a great team player. You think that by being an open book, you are building trust with your colleagues and showing your manager that you are authentic and relatable. We are conditioned to believe that the workplace is a community where sharing your frustrations, your doubts, and your unfiltered opinions is a sign of strength and emotional intelligence. But as you sit in the break room, venting about a stupid new policy or admitting that you're just not feeling motivated today, you need to realize that every word you utter is being recorded in the invisible ledger of corporate perception. The truth is, and the most successful people in your building aren't the most honest. They are the most controlled. They understand that words aren't just tools for communication. They are weapons for status and shields for protection. You aren't being real when you complain about your workload. You are signaling a lack of capacity. The tension you feel when a conversation turns political isn't a sign to dive in and speak your mind. It's a warning that the perception police are on duty. You think it works like this. You speak your truth, and people respect your integrity. But it doesn't. Here's what actually happens. The high performers are listening to you reveal your vulnerabilities, and they are silently marking you as a risk or a workhorse rather than a leader. Your belief in radical candor is the very thing keeping you trapped in the middle management layer while others glide toward the corner office. Think about the relatable daily friction of a standard Tuesday afternoon. You're in a meeting that has run 30 minutes over, discussing a project that is clearly heading for a wall. You feel the urge to speak up and say, "That's not my job," or "I don't have time for this." You're frustrated because you're already doing the work of two people, and the unfairness of being asked to lean in once again feels like a slap in the face. You see your peers nodding along, pretending to be excited about a strategy that is destined to fail. And you feel a sense of moral superiority because you're the only one willing to call it like it is. But then, 2 months later, when the promotion cycle comes around, you're the one who stays in place while the yes man across the aisle gets moved up. You feel misunderstood and ignored. You think that because you produce the best results, your unfiltered personality should be forgiven or even celebrated. This is where most people get stuck. They confuse performance with presence. They believe that if the numbers are good, the narrative doesn't matter. But in the modern office, the narrative is the only thing that actually exists in the minds of the decision makers. That you are being ghosted for promotions because you haven't mastered the art of the silent high performer. The hidden truth behind the 8 things high performers never say, ranging from "it's not fair" to "I'll try," is that language creates your corporate gravity. If you use heavy victim-based language, you sink to the bottom of the hierarchy. If you use light, agency-based language, you rise. This is the part nobody tells you. Your manager isn't looking for the person who does the most work. They are looking for the person who makes the least noise while doing it. When you say, "I'm so busy," you think you're signaling value, but you're actually signaling that you've reached your limit. You are telling the system that you cannot handle more responsibility. High performers never admit to being busy because busy is the language of the overwhelmed. They speak in terms of priority and resource allocation. They are breaking your false assumption that the workplace is a meritocracy of effort. In reality, it is a meritocracy of apparent ease. The person who looks like they are handling everything with zero friction is the person who gets handed the keys to the kingdom. Deep office politics is the management of perceived competence. Decisions about who gets the high-profile assignments are made based on who makes the leadership feel safe. When you use phrases like "I think" or "I'm not sure," you are leaking trust equity. Leadership doesn't want your honest doubt. They want your calculated certainty. This doesn't mean you lie. It means you change the way you frame the unknown. Human behavior dictates that we follow the person who sounds like they have a map, even if the map is still being drawn. In the hierarchy of power, decisiveness is more valuable than accuracy in the early stages of a project. If you are constantly qualifying your statements or asking for permission to lead, you have been socially deplatformed in the eyes of the executives. You are no longer a potential successor. You are a reliable subordinate. The decisions are made based on the vibe of your communication, not just the data of your reports. You think you're being careful, but you're actually being invisible. And this is where the reality shift must happen. You need to realize that your current approach of verbal venting is a luxury you can no longer afford if you want to reach the top. You have to reframe your understanding of workplace communication. It is not a therapy session, it is a negotiation of status. Your approach is failing because you are treating your words like exhaust from an engine, just something that comes out as you work. But a high performer treats their words like fuel, something that is carefully measured and directed to achieve a specific movement. The signs are all there. The subtle way people stop sharing sensitive information with you when they realize you can't keep a secret, or the way your boss starts managing your expectations because you've complained too much about your work-life balance. You think you're advocating for yourself, but you're actually devaluing your own stock. Wait, this is the turning point where you stop being the speaker and start being the architect of your own reputation. Subtle solutions to refining your workplace vocabulary start with aggressive neutrality. Since you cannot control the chaos of the office, you must control your reaction to it. This doesn't mean you become a robot. It means you stop using limiting language. Instead of saying, "I can't do that," you say, "I can prioritize that if we shift the deadline on Project X." You are reclaiming the agency of the conversation. You are forcing the leadership to see you as a partner in strategy rather than a recipient of orders. Perception is about reframing the burden. When you are handed a disaster of a project, you don't say, "This is a mess." You say, "This is an opportunity to streamline our core processes." You are signaling that you are the adult in the room. Communication in the high-performance zone should be economical and intentional. Since most people talk too much, you gain power by talking less and making it count. You follow the rule of 3. Never offer more than 3 reasons for a decision, and never complain about something unless you have 3 possible solutions ready. You are creating your own brand of reliability. You are signaling that you are present, strategic, all and non-reactive. This changes the perception of you from a contingent worker to a foundational asset. HR and management are much more hesitant to ignore the person who consistently provides calm in the storm. You are essentially ensuring your own career longevity through the power of silence. Relationships during this time should be treated with strategic warmth. You need to be the person that everyone likes, but no one truly knows. This is the part nobody tells you. The most powerful people in the office are often the most private. They don't share their political leanings, their marital problems, or their true feelings about the CEO. They keep their internal map hidden. By maintaining this professional distance, you protect yourself from being caught in the crossfire of office cliques. You aren't cold. You are contained. You build lateral alliances by being a person who listens more than they speak. When people vent to you, you don't join in. You just nod and ask, "How do you plan to handle that?" You are training them to see you as a source of wisdom, not a partner in crime. The part nobody tells you is that your refusal to gossip or refusal to complain is actually a form of psychological dominance. It shows that you are not affected by the microturbulence of the office. While everyone else is wasting energy on the drama, you are focusing your energy on impact. High performers never say, "I heard that," or "Did you know that?" because they know that information is the most valuable currency in the office, and you don't spend it on cheap entertainment. You only spend it when it can buy you leverage. You are arbitraging the noise. By the time your peers realize you've moved ahead of them, you will have a clean record and a reputation for discretion. That is the ultimate professional leverage. Here's what actually happens when you master the language of the elite. You realize that the stress of the job was never about the work. It was about the emotional tax of your own communication. Once you stop saying, "I'm tired" or "This is impossible," you actually start feeling more powerful. You think you're just changing your words, but you're actually rewiring your brain for leadership. The 8 things, the complaints, the excuses, the self-doubt, the gossip, are just drag on your career. Once you eliminate the drag, your velocity increases automatically. Like you stop being a worker and start being a force of nature. The truth is, your professional brand is a story that you are writing every time you open your mouth. Your boss isn't ignoring your hard work because they are mean. They are doing it because your communication hasn't yet convinced them that you belong at the next level. They are looking for executive presence, which is essentially the ability to stay composed and on message regardless of the circumstances. This is why you must never say, "I don't know," without immediately adding, "But I will find out by 4 p.m. You are closing the loop of uncertainty. You are a solutions provider, not a problem identifier. You are an operator who understands that the truth of a situation is often less important than the perception of how you are handling it. The ending of this narrative is about your own awareness. Look at your email sent folder and your Slack history, not as messages, but as evidence. What would a stranger think of your capacity based only on what you've written? The gap between your internal potential and your external expression is where your career goes to die. Once you see the gap, you can no longer be lazy with your language. You are the only person truly invested in your brand management. Your talent, your time, and your reputation are your assets, and you are the only one who can protect them. High performance isn't a result, it's a refinement of how you interact with the world. Reflect on this. The person who is promoted the fastest isn't the one who works the most hours. It's the one who speaks the language of the future. Why would you keep speaking the language of the struggle? If you accept that the workplace is a theater of perception, the uncomfortable truth becomes a liberating truth. You stop looking for validation for your feelings and start looking for validation for your strategy. Awareness is the only safety you'll ever find. Now, go back to your desk. Look at that draft you were about to send and delete every filler word and excuse. The promotion is coming, but for the first time in your career, you're the one who is actually scripting the outcome. You aren't a victim of office politics. You are an expert communicator who has just been given the manual for the elite. The end of your unfiltered honesty is the beginning of your real career power. Stay focused, stay professional, and stay strategically quiet. The world is full of noisy failures. Your job is to be the silent success. Reflect on the quiet power of the person who says nothing during the rant, but walks away with the deal. That is the real professional maturity. The quietness today is the authority tomorrow. Now, get to work on your real legacy.